Hello.
Good morning. Good
Hi.
afternoon, rather. Hey, Willie, how's your back?
A lot better. It's doing a lot better. I'm currently feeling like the pain has minimized quite a bit. It is now down to a very manageable amount, and it's basically at a place where I only feel anything after sitting down for extended periods of time and getting back up. Walking around, it's down. It doesn't really happen that much, and yeah, there's a lot that contributes to that over the last 2 weeks. Definitely, definitely, the combination of physio. I've started out with some
Mm-hmm.
of that. Just it's one of those like can't hurt. Definitely, it does the
Right.
opposite of hurt type of situation. So throwing that in, like I mentioned, there's the anti-inflammatories. I've been also, kind of like weaning off just to see how it is without anything affecting it, and it's been pretty solid. So that helps, and the gadgets and plethora of things I've gotten now includes the big kudos here to Paige on this one. The Herman Miller Embody chair is fucking beautiful choice, chef's kiss. Because
You must have needed that real bad because I remember her telling you about it, and then like literally 24 hours later, she's like, "Just oh yeah, he got one."
yeah,
Like, you just
yeah.
went and got one right
Well,
away.
I just because I'm like nuke the pain. That's my deal. Is anytime there's
Yeah.
any issue, just annihilate it with every possible solution and see, and then maybe work backwards to figure out which one it was. But
Mm-hmm.
at the time, I'm like, yeah, just everything. And in this case, it is a really good chair that like is really solid at like helping, um, you know, make sure your back doesn't get annihilated by basic office chair sitting and or even like couch sitting and things like that. I've gotten other things as well to, like I said, like lumbar support and little bits and pieces to help
Mm-hmm.
me wherever I am. But like considering the nature of the fact that I have been like glued to working on the Guilty Gear lore videos, this is
Mm-hmm.
a humongous help that has really much it's made it so that it's eliminated some of the need for some other things I've been doing, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But you still have to get up and give yourself a stretch and such. But it's been incredible. So, you know, huge thanks to the Peach on that one because it came in the clutch. And I mean, hey, this is this company I've never heard of.
I had
They
also never heard of it until she started looking into it.
Yeah, well, it doesn't come cheap. it's
No.
they say this is not a head down to Staples and grab an office chair kind of chair. This
No.
is a fucking this is a big one, and
Mm-hmm.
they're not afraid to ask you for 4 digits for a chair.
Now,
Um,
on the plus side, you don't have a dog that tries to eat the chair.
yeah. Also, I've thanks to thanks to the helpful nature of Kijiji, I just went and saw
Mm-hmm.
someone selling it for like half the price they retail it for. So I was able to get it the next day.
Mildly encrusted.
No, brand new in box.
What the fuck are they doing?
It's encrusted with a G because it's the gamer chair variation of it. Because they make it for
Oh
offices
snap!
and they make it for like fancy, big old like salaryman type situations. But they also
Mm-hmm.
have a gamer ass version with gamer colors on them and a big G on the back. So I was able to get a brand new inbox gamer variation. The tech still works and does its job. It just happens to be marketed to,
Well, as you
the
were a
ones who need
pro
it the
gamer, that
most.
makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
Yeah. So I think the packaging literally mentions rising up on it. Like I'm not even joking. I think I there was something I was looking at that made reference to a sort of rising up or something along those lines kind of term. So yeah, good times with that. You know, that's how you want to save money on any expensive products. Make sure you buy the gamer version.
It's the most important version.
The one they need to get like sanctioned into its own side section of their factory because they do proper business for proper people, and then there's the fucking gamer hole over there.
I still think the worst one is the Asus brand Republic of Gamers that, like, when you fucking load up like a laptop from Asus that's like a high-end laptop, it's like that's the splash screen.
Can't get rid of it.
It's the Republic of Gamers. Like, oh my god.
The gamer
Oh my
Republic.
god.
Do you want to live? Do you want to live in the
No,
gamer Republic?
I don't want to live in that gamer Republic. No. No, sir.
Yeah, well, anyway, yes, indeed, that has been the core to you know, double entendre. But it's been a lot better, and yeah, there's also shit happening that's like not even here yet. Like I bought a new bed, and that's coming.
Yeah,
and
yeah, that's,
you know, but I will say that, like, as a result of dealing with like all of this and such, not much of a week to really say in terms of events and things. There's definitely news to discuss, but for me personally, I've been just doing back related things and doing my Guilty Gear lore, and yeah, that's pretty much just about ready to go. So
before we get quite into it, I do have something I want to measure out of turn at the top of the podcast as a public service announcement. If you are currently an owner of Marvel's Avengers game, fucking don't play it right now, and definitely don't stream it.
Don't update
because
it.
there is a bug going around on that shit that is having your name and your username and your IP address just bounce around the screen like a DVD menu.
You know, I feel like I've known you for a minute, and I feel like I'm able to tell certain things, certain subtle things that are very low key,
very subtle, yeah,
but still present. And one of those things is there's a very, very trace amount, but it's still there. There's a level of something that comes in when you get to talk about what is essentially a hilariously dunkable topic, but you get to frame it as a PSA because there's legitimate like doxing purposes that can be associated with the problem. There's a little tingle of a spark inside. You enjoy getting to front load the PSA, you know, the warning to everybody. By the way, for any of those out there within, you know, this audience that happen to own a copy of Avengers, whoever that might be, you know, be wary of what might happen if you were to pop this game in and start playing it.
For real though, what's actually much worse is that they put out a note that there'll be a hotfix tomorrow to fix numerous bugs, including a floating string of text. Like, that's the official stance on it. It's like, oh, we gotta fix the floating string of text. It's like,
you know, there's a lot of types of floating strings of text. I mean, generally speaking, if you were to ask me to bug that, I would say, oh yeah, that's a C-class bug. That ain't that bad. You know, random letters, random numbers floating around the screen.
Some kind of dev build, like the build number starts bouncing around.
Usually the build number is often what you got to worry about there. And you know, to anyone who is more or less not paying attention, that seems like a little weird thing, but that's fine. Not usually a hot fixable issue, mind you. Usually a couple letters floating around is not something you get the team to jump on overnight and call up your Sony, Microsoft, and Xbox contacts and go, hey, we have to push a build over in the next 24 hours. Can you fast
We have to
track
push in
this?
a hot fix. Which, I mean, the consoles have been historically terrible for hot fixing. Costs money. That's dollars, right?
But as it turns out, if those random numbers, letters, and or strings are personal information, such as your IP address, that's an oopsie.
Hey, it's your name and your credit card and those wacky numbers on the back.
It's not a minor issue.
Just some wacky numbers.
Random. Who knows?
Yeah. Whoops.
Including the 3 digits.
So now that our PSA is done, did you get to play any Guilty Gear, Wooly?
So no. And
wow.
I know.
That is just the sequence of events that have taken place. They're absurd.
Yeah, it's a bit of a comedy of errors, and I understand that. But I pretty much said, look, at this point, let me get my house in order, and let me finish my obligations. I was supposed to be done with these videos by the time the game launched, and and I was physically restrained from doing so. So I'm basically like, I'm not going to touch it until I'm done with this. And to be fair, I have, again, like, I'm not spending much time over on the couch anyway. But I've decided to finish my shit off before I even get in there. So
I mean, that makes sense.
That's
on the plus side, you are getting to dodge some dolphin-based shenanigans.
I'm aware because I did get to feel them during the beta.
and Soul. I always play. So I have a friend of mine who plays Soul, and he always plays Soul, and he's a huge Guilty Gear mark. And he picks up Soul, and we're doing some matches, and he was just like running into me, just doing like standing slash, like over and over. And we're chatting over Discord, and we're both like, "Wow, this is gonna go away."
Yeah, the funny thing is, back in the like Arc Revo build when I was playing it back whenever, like last year or 2 years ago actually, the takeaway like hilarious clown combos were Totsugeki 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 wall splat Totsugeki and Fafnir wall splat Fafnir, you know? So like those two still being like the big unga bungas are, that's probably gonna get handled at some point.
Just messing around with Soul felt like, man, this reminds me of that Toronto, that Labor Day weekend we went to go see Sagat 9-1 everyone at that arcade. And just like, wow,
Street Fighter 4 launch, yeah.
Vanilla Sagat is fucking wow.
And I definitely do intend to, I want to get in there and feel it for myself. I want to get hit with a splash of dolphin, cool, refreshing blast, Baja Blast. But I'm rounding the corner. I'm about 97% of the way there, and I think I was explaining a little bit last time we did this before last week, but there's so much condensed into Rev 2 here, and I feel bad too because I see a lot of feedback of people that are like, yo, awesome to hear I got this game because I've been following this lore series and stuff, but essentially like they're like waiting for this to get into that, you know, they're waiting to see for the shoe to drop, so to speak.
Right.
So because there's so much left, I'm gonna explain it here too, and I'll put something in front of the video too to explain that I'm essentially gonna be dropping 2-hour-long videos as the finale. So there's gonna be a part 6 and a part 7, and it, like, when you don't space things out on YouTube doesn't like it very much, but I don't want people who are expecting there to be one more video to arrive and only see like a to be continued and then get upset at that. So I'm gonna drop them. I'm gonna finish them both. So I'm doing 2 is what I'm doing. I did 2 in the time frame, and if it was just the one, I would have thrown it out already. And then, but I don't want that. Everyone's expecting the finish, so I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna drop 2 at the same time, and you're gonna have one into the other. But I'm putting them each into hour-long sections instead of like a 2-hour thing, because the series has been half an hour to 45-minute episodes. I don't want to then. It's way too much. And furthermore, the whole point is to save people from watching multiple 4-hour-long movies as well as extra hours of additional content. I'm trying to help you through that by summarizing, you know. What is interesting and like tricky is, as I'm going through, I guess I mean, I can talk about this part since this is my week, right? But
yeah, absolutely.
The process of like paring this down to what matters is like, that's one thing. You can just mainline the story, but because this is a series about so many different characters and there's so many people that are like, their favorites are like this or that, or one, you know, like a particular person that shows up to do a little thing here, to give everyone their due, you can't just put it all on the chopping block, you know? So when you start with the series in the first couple episodes where there's nothing to really show, you just have to explain the timeline over the course of 100 years or more, going through this list of like events and then describing what happened at each one. But as you get further and further closer to the present, you're going from vaguely describing an entire conflict in one paragraph to a full conversation point to point that these characters are having, you know? And if you cut out the entire existence or cameo or, you know, drop of like one of these characters, which is like someone's favorite, then people who are like waiting to see that person miss out on that, and that sucks, you know? And I've seen people going, oh, when's X or Y my favorite character and stuff, you know? So to keep it all in there and keep the cool parts of what everyone would like about their character, you have to keep it in at this like chunky boy size.
You know, you're describing this, and as I'm seeing people meme up in the chat, and I'm thinking about like Guilty Gear has a really bizarre storyline because there's no moderate level of understanding. There's no like in between. There's like a detailed list and breakdown of what is occurring and what the backyard means and what that man is really up to. And then there's like single sentence nonsense descriptions that are actually kind of close. Like, what's Potemkin's deal? He's a soldier. He fights for this guy. Done. What's that guy's deal? There's a shadow out of his butt. What's that man up to? Some shit again.
Yeah, I mean, for the first half of the franchise's life, it was just, hey, that's post-apocalyptic anime Ryu and Ken. You know? And they're going to be beefing with each other because that's what the rivals are supposed to do.
What?
You know, and that's about it. But then, yeah, you attempt to peek into the fucking the darkness, and then the darkness not only stares back, but it grabs you, and then it starts singing "Society" in your face with a booming voice. The funnest.
It's apparently called Armor Clad Faith and not a Clown of Faith.
Sure. Yeah, you know. Shout outs to these banger tracks being English as fuck. So there's a level of hilarity that you always have to interface with. But beneath the English, there's really good meaning and solid lyrics.
Yeah. But it's sung like, I don't know what to call it, but it's like, that's a good lyric, but it's sung like, but also with like a Japanese accent like underneath that.
Everything in this world leads to soul enlightenment. There's nothing wasted in our lives. That's fucking good advice. That's a solid.
Yeah, what's it sound like though?
Everything is different. You better stop it. You know, it's yeah.
I always felt torn when Guilty Gear started to add lyrics because I thought the instrumental tracks and like XX and so on were just like 100% aces. But I've turned around on it because yeah, somebody in the chat nailed it. Everybody imitating the Guilty Gear singer sounds like Creed. That's because it sounds like Japanese Creed. That's totally what it sounds like. And Creed's a trash band. But I will go to my grave and die before the phrase, "Can you take me higher?" like comes out of my head.
Yeah. It's funny because this week too, Punch Bomb's playing through P3 Portable and has been talking about how like, yeah, man, music's catchy, humming it and stuff. And I was like, that's funny because when I first like introduced this whole like Persona world and stuff, that was one of the topics that we discussed where it was like the music, she's like, oh, but this English is so weird. And I'm like, I know.
It's bizarre.
If you haven't interfaced with a lot of anime OPs over the years, it's really jarring. But if you just let it settle in, the music is super catchy and good,
Lotus Juice has a very bizarre voice in this term because some of the lyrics are no problem, like second language English speaker, but he's very clear, right? It's really obvious. But as he is rapping, he decides to just do the thing that everybody does with their accent, is he twists it to hit the rhyme. But he's twisted it in some goofy ways that makes me sit there and go, what does he say? Let me go get the lyric list. I'll go get the lyric list.
Yeah, like,
oh, that is what he's saying.
I can hear the part where he says, and I'm the ace, because the music stops.
Yeah.
But when he's going on about rocking your body in the dorm room, it gets a little rough, But that's the thing is, like, admittedly, that was 3, and then they kind of went on into the different styles with 4 and 5, but
yeah,
and you can mask some of the accent a little more when you're having like a vocalist sing extended notes as opposed to like tons of bars being dropped in like a rap verse.
Yeah,
the rap verse exposes the English a lot faster,
I still remember when I was a little baby child, when I was a tiny little baby child, Spice Girls was a popular band. They were a popular group. Everybody like, oh man, Spice Girls, they have Spice World, Girl Power, all that shit.
They sing, yeah.
And then they sang a song, and then they were on like Oprah or some shit, and my mom was watching it, and they started to like talk, and I look at my mom, I was like, why do they sound like that? What's wrong with that? And my mom's like, they're from England. And I remember going, why? They don't sound like that when they sing. And she was like, well, people don't sound like their accents sometimes when they sing. And I'm like, they sound stupid. They should sing all the time.
I mean, even in Time to Make History, it's like you can kind of buy in for a bunch of it. But then she starts doing the talk rap part with like find your place in it.
And you're like, oh,
there it is. Yeah. No. Anyway, it's fine. It's ultimately, these are songs you're gonna love and enjoy, and you're gonna sing it in your head in English for the rest of your life. But yeah. Which is also why it's like when they reach out and get like someone who is like a native speaker or something like that, there's always a moment of like, oh shit. In anime, at least, I remember having those, like one Serial Experiments Lane, the opening to Wolf's Rain with Steve Conte, like pretty much a lot of Yoko Kanno stuff, or Origa, like the anime song starts, and then you hear the first couple words, and you're like, okay, they're pretty good. There's no accent. Oh wait, it's a native speaker. Oh, she just contacted a Western person to sing this song. Okay, or a Russian lady, and you're like, oh fuck, yeah, let's go. We're in there. But I had to put that like disclaimer out to Punch Mom to just be like, just let it get past the layer of the English. Let it sit inside your head, right? Let it roll around for a bit, and it'll be fine.
It's funny that you mentioned this because I actually recently ran into a situation of English on purpose. I commissioned Isaac Wolf and Quiet Viking to make me a fancy new outro that ended up going like way over budget because they were like, "What if we did this?" I'm like, "Okay." And then it ended up being like a 2-minute production with like a professional vocalist who is fantastic, by the way. It's Halo Sweetie. She's a VTuber. She's great. But these lyrics are so stupid. And this is a talented lady singing just real dumb English crap.
There you go.
Just stupid shit. And to a degree, I'm like listening to it, I'm like, wow, this is great. And I'm like, oh no, I'm now kind of embarrassed because it's dumb. Oh, it's real dumb.
Yeah. It's and like why is someone so talented wasting their talent on this stupid shit? There's this. I mean, there's this feeling like I remember when I used to feel that every time I heard like a really beautiful gospel choir used in some shitty stupid like in some like fart prank. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like church, right? Am I right? That guy whose comment I saw is mad now. Suck it. Anyway.
The ultimate fart prank.
Religion. Nailed it.
Creation. Anyway, don't even think about it too hard. Just let it work. Let it do its thing. Whenever you'd see like a situation like that where like they hired a real choir to do this bit, and you're just thinking, man, this group of people probably very nice. Taking their time off on a weekend to come by. They
clearly very skilled, very talented,
right? And they might have skipped out on church to for this gig or whatever. And they're singing these lyrics because they've been paid to. But boy, are they probably not proud. There's those little moments where you're just like, I remember feeling bad. But yeah. Anyway, English.
It's still good.
I
love it.
I bet you is that site even still up? Because
which one?
English.com. The place where
English.com.
Yeah, the place where the term comes from in my brain was just
it's right. I'm looking at it right now.
The incredible. Okay, we're still going. 2021. All right, beautiful. Good to know, because that's early internet. Early internet was just a collection of t-shirts.
They're selling a mask that says "Continued unmeasured endless despair, however alive."
There you go. Exactly. little baby jumper with a unicorn rainbow on it, and it's I hate myself and want to die. The Sonic Obama backpack. Yeah. It's fucking disasters, and then all those Boss Coffee ads with what's his name?
Oh, the guy who was Al Gore roommate, Anthony Jefferson. That's wrong.
No,
that's not even a person. That's just a combination of words I made.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Boss is the boss of them all. Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't care if you killed your wife.
Or and they had like some of the early Arnold ones in there, and Brad Pitt where they basically were like, okay, Brad Pitt agrees to do a commercial for these jeans, and they're like, the most they can do is get 5 seconds of him, like, at a party or something, just riding a surfboard down up some stairs, and then at the end, he says Gomari-san, which is the wrong name of the company, but then it turned it. It's not even the right name of the company, because it's I think it's Gomaru-san or whatever, and he says the wrong thing, and then because Brad Pitt said it, it becomes slang and it becomes a real thing because the wrong way he said it becomes the cool way, and it's like, yeah, he got like $1 million for 5 seconds of that. Yeah,
there was a whole I want to say like 25-year period where part of your celebrityness was go out to Japan and do the fucking circuit with the ads, because they'll pay you just to stand there and say something in broken Japanese that everyone can tell you don't understand.
Yeah. When Tommy Lee Jones has to like be a badass teacher, and he's just yelling things out very quickly, where he's just like, he doesn't know what he's saying there, but whatever, it works for the bit.
My favorite is like watching those commercials and seeing what kind of character they gave our Hollywood celebrity so that they can explain why they are a person of few words. Tommy Lee Jones is very stern and barely talks, and it's a lot of like, there are a couple that he doesn't say anything other than boss coffee.
But
and then we have the opposite. Then we have the CEO of Domino's coming out being all like, hey motherfuckers, do you like Hatsune Miku?
Sure. I was thinking of there's a Pierce Brosnan one where, like, post James Bond, they got him to come over and just, what is he even doing? I think he's just whispering or talking to some blonde lady, and then he looks at the camera, and then it's like, it's barely even a Lost in Translation thing, but they got Pierce Brosnan as well to come in and just start saying things that sound, you know, incredibly British and thus charming and thus sell product, you know.
Yeah, I'm watching it. It's just like a series of panning shots of him looking handsome in a suit in like a rich person's
There you
place.
go. Exactly.
It's not just and then he just says else rain.
Like,
and I don't know what the fuck the product is. I don't think they showed it once.
Paycheck. You know. Yeah. Good time.
Just give me the money.
But like, all of that used to be like archived on English.com, and back in the day that was my like original source, and I like, it's become such a thing that I'm sure that's just like old ass internet that the youngins we're talking to these days might not have known about it. But you know, if it's up there and they have everything, you can dive through that site and just go back to like the full fucking catalog.
You see, kids, back in '95, it was actually really time consuming to take a decent quality digital camera photo and put it on the internet. So if you saw a funny photo of a Chinese restaurant that said 404 not found as the title, that would be like gold. That would be like solid gold.
Or a restaurant called Dick and Uprising.
Man, I'd never seen that one.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
That was an old one back in the day. Dick and Uprising restaurant.
That'd still be pretty funny today, though. That's pretty good.
But like, not in the ironic sense that it would be used today. In the like, no, we're actually going for something elegant in this restaurant, which is otherwise treated as an elegant, high ambiance space. You know.
Got that good ambiance.
No, I didn't want to say it, but it came to mind.
You know, Maximilian Dude made a tweet earlier this week where he quote retweeted somebody who had a piece of advice for up-and-coming content creators, and it was to mispronounce words on purpose so that people get all butthurt over it because you're saying it wrong. You're saying it wrong. How could you do that? And Max, I think he retweeted like, "This is great advice. I would do this." And it's like, who would ever do such a thing? Who would ever say words wrong on purpose?
That's crazy. That's wild. What a wild concept.
Is this Homestar Runner's fault? Is this Sans Undertale's fault with the Lie Barbie?
You know, it's almost as if successful YouTube musicians might have also exploited this tech to get people engaging.
It's possible.
May have heard about this one before. It's one of those tricks of the trade.
Yeah. You want to if you want to really enunciate a word and make people think about the word you use, say it wrong. Their brain will go, "What? No." And now they're thinking about it. It's like, want a lot of attention in a crowd? Shit your pants.
The other really great tweet that Max put out was the one saying that it's okay to just see a fighting game, think it's cool, and just play for a bit and then not touch it again if you don't want to after that.
Or play it and be like, I'm gonna play a fighting game, and then stop and not be like, oh man, I really gotta grind it out. I gotta learn my combos. I gotta rank up. It's like, no.
When I was in high school, I had a group of friends that were competitive badminton players. They played constantly, aggressively, and really good. And some of them even continued, like, you know, into like college years and such, and would regularly have meetups to like get their games going. I would play sometimes, and I always had a ton of fun. Badminton's really fun. I enjoy the shit out of it. I never got to the point of buying a racket, but I've always enjoyed playing it. And then when I'm done playing, I just didn't think about it.
Badminton disappears unless you're looking at a badminton net or racket. Badminton go away in the brain.
If someone were to come along and bother me and pry me and or shame me for not getting out there and getting after it in my badminton pursuit of mastery, I would have probably gotten annoyed. Probably.
One of these new players gonna fucking grind it out and get top 8, man. Like most of them don't care, dude. I'm trying to just get the hang of like serving consistently and doing the little drop shots when I need to, as opposed to like I didn't fuck up and I kept the volley going, you know? Yeah.
Badminton's super fun. It's a really, really good time every time I've touched it. But that's pretty much the only time I'm interested in playing it is when I'm playing it, you know? So, in other words, don't be a shit.
You know what's great about fighting games? Because I'm just as guilty of this, even though I just realized in my own head I just compared it to a real-world example, which is like, imagine you had a big park and there's lots of badminton areas, right? Tons of people playing it. And I'm like, oh, I love badminton. You played badminton? I played badminton in high school a little bit with my pals when, you know, there were free rackets and the net was up or whatever. And yeah, okay, cool. And I'll walk up and let's play. And it's like, oh man, you're not doing any drop shots. You're not doing any badminton Roman cancels. It's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know, man. I just kind of want to play a good game. I don't really want to spend all that time, you know, skilling up. I just want to play casual badminton. And then some gigantic motherfucker ran over and screamed at the top of his lungs, well, you're gonna learn today! And just proceeded to spike that shit into the dirt.
Get motivated, white boy! Get motivated!
And then as I'm like, wow, that was really fun, just starts like, that's what happens! That's what happens when you play badminton with killers! Get out of here! It's like...
Now, that being said...
That wouldn't be a really good example. Except I'm now thinking, dude, that I would play badminton every day if it was like that. That would be so good. That's exactly what I want.
Now, that being said, if you are interested in this world, then yes, right? Let's provide the tools, let's provide the bridge, the gap, the information, the amazing fighting game glossary, the get into fighting games streams, the shows, the what. Let's provide a means to get people to who are interested in going further, right? But that first step has to be taken. You can't shove. You can't shove. You know, it's like if you're down to jump out of the plane, then like we can show you some cool tricks on the way down. But you got to jump out first. You know. Yeah. Now, you say Roman cancels in badminton like a joke, but there are real Roman cancels in sports.
Oh, I know.
I've seen them.
I was going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. I did a different.
Barry Sanders, the running back back in the day for the Detroit Lions, performed real Roman cancels on the field.
Did it do the burst?
All like in the it had the effect of the burst because the people got knocked back. He's running left and he is now instantly teleporting to the right, and everyone is falling over like fucking bowling pins to the left. He had meter and he spent it on his plays. A really good crossover in basketball has the effect of a Roman cancel, you know.
I remember being in high school and there was a kid named Sod, and Sod clearly played basketball somewhere other than my high school gym class, because if he got the ball, he would just casually dribble it up to every single person on the opposing team and just trip them up.
Yep.
And break their ankles. And saunter off to the next one and just do it.
So one of the great stories of one of our mutual friends from back in the day was just about like the really tall athletic kid that just never stopped balling, and like would running down the hallway would just constantly pull moves off on people on his way to class or whatever. And like one time he was late and he was sprinting, and like everyone was doing their thing, and then they're like, oh, here he comes, and like this poor girl was just walking with her books, and then he like stops in front of her, and like he has like a fake ball in his hand, and he like steps left, cuts and crosses right, and like she spins to the left and doesn't know, and then pushes off and spins around and never touches her, and does it so quickly that she just crumples and falls to the ground. Just collapses into a puddle, and you're just like, ah! You know, getting cut up when you were just going through your normal life. God damn.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough, man.
You weren't even playing ball, and all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I gotta stop him from taking it to the rim. And then you just get annihilated. Ankles like blasted into the ER.
There's a social now that everybody's getting vaccinated and people are starting to at least go outside again, right? There's a fun little social experiment that you can pull if you really want to like see the vicious awkwardness of people walking down the street. Get some thick sunglasses and just walk directly towards people on the sidewalk, and make no indication as to what direction you're gonna move. And you will see people just fucking freak out trying to figure out what direction you're going to go. Oh, it's great.
So something that there's like videos of on Instagram and shit that you can watch is, because all of what we're describing is very North American. So in order to export that internationally, you go watch the in other countries how basically someone who plays a whole lot of football, the soccer, will just
start footy.
Yeah, just dribble up to a stranger on the street and then just start doing tricks. And like, maybe they're just selectively editing it to be this way, so who knows? But like a whole lot of random ass people that are not even like within the same like young age group or anything just get into position like, oh, I'm gonna fucking stop him. Like people just start playing soccer like out in the wild. If you just come up to them with like a, I'm gonna get past you, what are you gonna do, you know?
Why is it that whenever somebody picks up a soccer / football, footy ball, round ball for kicking and starts doing tricks in like a public square somewhere, there's always like a 98-year-old Italian man somewhere in the distance going, hey!
Yeah. Ennio back there, he's back in his day, man. Back in his day, shit. The ultimate like goalkeeper that would fucking you know, like, yeah, it's a thing. And it makes sense because again, it's like, what do you need to play American football? A team, a ball, a field goal, a giant yard, and armor for every player.
You need, like, for proper football, you need just a fucking crazy amount of space.
You can play with flag, but like really you need a whole lot of space.
Oh no, you need the threat of bodily harm.
Yes, right. What do you need to play soccer? A ball and like 2 stones. 4 if you're getting fancy, you know. Yeah. The fact that like people here in Quebec go through the trouble to like young kids get their like street hockey shit out and go pretty intense at it, and yeah, exactly, and B, get surprisingly good at not destroying every parked car in the neighborhood with slap shots and
yeah,
errant passes. Yeah. Anyway, what is going on this week?
With me, you mean?
Yes.
All right, I played a couple video games. I'm gonna talk about them now. I don't know why that was so awkward. I didn't know how to segue into that. All right, it's been 2 weeks, so I'm gonna try and rapid fire this as best I can because I do have like 3-4 things to talk about. One is Nemesis came out for Dead by Daylight, like proper release. There's a lot to like about Nemesis. He's so tall in game that his head goes through some of the UI on the top of the screen.
That's a cool effect. I'm always a fan of that.
Like there's like your points and your rank at the top of the screen, and all the other killers were just scraping their heads against the tip of the bottom, and his head is like
the biggest one
by like an extra foot. He is, I believe, as tall as the engine will allow, because his head is like almost scraping up against a bunch of doorways.
Huh.
And on top of that, he's still shorter than he should be. They use his like coat and they shrink his legs a little bit.
So he has to squeeze through doors.
Yeah. And like people were thinking, maybe like Lady Dimitrescu could be there. It's like, no way. It'd be harder to hide with the proportions, and she's even bigger. Like, it's not possible. Nemesis has a cool gimmick where he whips you with his gross tentacle thing, and it infects you with the T virus, and then that allows the whip to hurt you the next time, as well as allows zombies that are placed on the map to attack you. There are 2 zombies that are like wandering around and will chase survivors. It's a really cool gimmick. It's not very good. Like he's nice, solid B. I think one part of his power is broken because the description doesn't do what it says it does. But he's like, Dead by Daylight has a really awkward problem where it reminds me of like a lot of fighting game characters or a lot of weapons in something like a Warframe or a Destiny, is that when they come out, there is either, oh man, this character rules, this is the best character right away, or wow, this character is bad, terrible, in fact. There was I've discussed
overbalance
it before,
or underbalance as an intended thing.
I discussed it before, but it was like a huge deal for Dead by Daylight to get Freddy Krueger. and Freddy was so bad that he had his own tier, which he was.
Wow.
It went like it was S, A, B, C, and then Freddy in F.
Wow. Okay.
It was like unbelievable to the point where they gave him a total rework and they tuned him up. But like, yeah. So with Nemesis coming in at like, you know, B, like he's good, but he's not the best. It's fine. I would prefer some tweaks, but it's thankful. The only problem
Sorry,
yeah,
isn't Pyramid Head pretty up there in terms of height too though? Like they're supposed to be comparable at least. Like
so
he's
it's an issue of body proportion. Nemesis has a really tiny head and he's got gigantic super wide shoulders, right? Pyramid Head is maybe 6-7 inches shorter than Nemesis, like just a little, but it's the tip of the top of the pyramid, right? Like 90% of Pyramid Head's body is around like a normal person's head area.
The tip of the pyramid is the okay.
Yeah, and PH is always hunched over, whereas Nemesis stands straight up.
Pyramid Head is around 7 feet.
Yeah.
Nemesis is 7'3".
Nemesis is supposed to be like 8-9.
And Dimitrescu is 9'6".
Yeah.
Christ.
The only like the biggest problem I have with Nemesis, and it's not a problem specific to me, but it hurts me real bad, is that he is just a worse version of Pyramid Head. They are both like ranged / projectile killers that you try and bait out people and hit them through windows and stuff like that. But because you know when a survivor runs and jumps through a window, they go through a little animation, which means they can't move left and right. So if you fire it off as they hit the window, you hit them. And I was playing Nemesis and Pyramid Head back to back, and I'm like, wow, I can everything you can do, PH can do better.
Yeah, that's a bad thing to do for like a toolkit, is if you just have someone that's like obsolete by the existence of another version.
Yeah, they aren't exactly the same, so there is a meaningful difference in playing them because the zombie thing is cool, but the zombies aren't very helpful. Like I can see that they were afraid to make the zombies like really strong because that would be horrible. But as they currently are, they're a little weak. But overall, yeah, very happy with it.
Are they unique to his scenario, or
he's the only character? When he spawns in, 2 zombies spawn in with him.
Okay.
And they're pretty slow, but they can air quote attack survivors. But more importantly is when survivors run near them, they like put their arms out to like chase them. And even if they have no chance of catching them, you can see like through objects where the zombies are pointing. So like if there's a zombie at the ass of the map and all of a sudden its arms go up, you're like, oh well, there's a person over there.
Okay.
Like it's nice.
It's a function, yeah. Okay.
What I'm not happy with is that the current release of Dead by Daylight is like it's extremely broken. And like they had the RPD map turned off the day it came out because it was so buggy. And a bunch of other stuff. There's add-ons that don't work. There's like camera problems. The servers were going down over and over. Like that game's been around for a long time, and it's kind of a mess still.
Whenever a crossover happens with a franchise, do they bring in like skins of survivors that can be like, you know, Leon or Claire?
The Nemesis release comes with Leon and Jill as characters, as well as skins for Chris and Claire.
So I ask this as a preface to the next question, which is, does the existence of the ability to do exactly that make something like Reverse obsolete?
Well, Reverse is obsolete.
Yes, but does this not just put the nail in the coffin when there's a better multiplayer experience to be had?
No, it kicks some extra dirt on the coffin. Right? Like that game is like you look at Reverse and it is bad. And then you look at, and you put it away, you kill it. And then you look at like characters running in an immaculately redesigned RPD, and Nemesis looks super good. Like Nemesis looks much better in DBD from a visual perspective than he does in Reverse.
That is brutal. That's official, man. Oh my god. Wow. Okay. Yeah. When the love is being handled by the people who are working on a crossover that don't want to fuck it up, so you can see more detail put into that than the official product.
There is a little bit of a goofy thing with Nemesis, and that is his model is the nicest model in the game.
Oh, okay.
And not by a little bit either. It's way nicer than some of the older ones, and it's considerably nicer than the one they just put out. Like, he's got the black tape look on it, and it's got all sorts of specular like shit all over it that is, it's like he looks twice as good as some of the other killers. It's really funny.
Is it just yeah, again, it's like I imagine well, we'll get to it certainly, but like, look how incredible Akuma looks in Tekken. He is the best Akuma has ever looked.
Well, the thing with DVD is it's been around for 5-6 years, and some of those models were made 5-6 years ago.
Right.
And as a result, they have been taking the ones that are like, like Doctor looked like bad. Like, Doctor never really looked good, and he only looked worse over time. So they remade Doctor's model, for example. And so they're gonna go back and do probably everybody, because they're basically just, instead of doing the thing where they like it's a new version of the game, they're just slowly like, this map has been completely redone. And the weird thing is that they're doing it like one map and killer and character at a time. So like you'll go through one map like the Asylum and like, wow, they really cleaned this place up. Or like the Saw map, I forget what it's called. I think it's called the Warehouse. Oh yeah, oh, looks good. And then you'll go to like one of the older ones that never got touched, and you're like, oh, they're actually a full generation apart.
Okay, yeah. That's
it's like, oh, this is a weird way to do it, but I guess you're doing the best you got with the resources you got.
With like, games never used to have content seasons over the course of like a year, years, you know, like, or like 5 years later, it's still being updated. You're seeing new shit. The team's gotten better. Everything's advanced, but you're dropping it on top of the old shit. Yeah, like.
It also, I mean, this is secondhand because I don't personally play the last gen console versions, but apparently the new updates just straight up make the game run worse.
It's good.
Because of course they do.
Good.
So like, if you're a PS4 Dead by Daylight player, like, it's certain maps, like they had a problem. Nemesis has a memory leak, which isn't that big of a deal on PC. But on consoles, you'd get into a chase with Nemesis, and the Nemesis player would drop down to like 10 frames. It's like, how did it release like that, guys? It's kind of a fucking mess. So that's Dead by Daylight. Hey, good game. You know, the best thing about putting Nemesis or Pyramid Head or a big fancy name into a video game like Dead by Daylight is new players. Just tons of no perk Leons to chew through. Just eat them up. It's great.
Yeah, no, a good cameo will bring fans of said cameo into place to experience said content.
Yeah.
Any
I did something so shitheaded yesterday that Paige, who was watching me, started to yell at me, and it's like, what the fuck, don't do that. And all I could think of is like, that's why they're gonna learn. I managed to down somebody like 1 foot away from the exit. Like they do, a lot of players do this thing where they sit at the exit so that when you punch them, they fall into the exit gate, and then they leave.
Yeah.
But this guy didn't quite get the distance right. So he was sitting there and I punched him and then I was able to pick him up. And it was the last like 30 seconds of the match. So he started to crawl and I picked him up and I walked back about 20 feet and dropped him. And he started to crawl towards the gate as time ticked down. And right when he got to reach it, I picked him up and went back 10 feet and dropped him. And then time ran out and he died.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, now, to be fair, standing by the gate and waiting to get punched is also a flex, though, is it not?
There's 2 things about this, and this is where Dead by Daylight has this awesome kind of toxicity where it's the worst ever, but sometimes people are actually trying to be polite, but you can misinterpret it as toxicity, and it is down to a single button press. So if a survivor is standing like inside the exit gate to the part where if you punch them through and they escaped, that usually means they are letting you get an extra hit so that you can get a little extra points. They're going to escape anyway, right?
Oh,
but you'll get one extra
cut
hit
and
of
dry like Fall Guys. I'm dancing at the gate style moment.
Right. So it's like, oh, they waited so that I could hit them, get a little extra points, grind up my stuff. That's nice.
Okay.
But if they crouch and happen to let go of the crouch button and they do the quick crouch stand up, that's a teabag, which is identical visually except for that. Which means what they're actually doing is shaking their ass in your fucking face in the exact same spot.
One button.
That's all it takes.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on how hot you are from how the match went, sometimes you don't notice.
I see.
Like some guys will shine a flashlight in your face and stun you and then not move. That's fine. Some guys will flick the fucking flashlight on and off in your face so that you won't get stunned, but it's annoying as shit.
Right. Okay. The little extras, the little thing. Yeah. The complex social language that develops within online games.
The irony is that because Dead by Daylight has absolutely no in-game communication whatsoever until the post-game, it has created an elaborate but not entirely accurate series of pseudo-communications, which can easily be interpreted as GM or BM, depending on your mood.
It's funny because I'm thinking about how, and even Strive, they continue to have this trend. Something unique to Guilty Gear games is they don't just have a taunt button. They have a taunt or respect button depending on which direction you hold when you press it.
Yeah, did you hold forward? You get a respect.
And in the older games, it used to be separate function entirely. But every time someone stops and starts doing even a respect taunt, it's a taunt. Like, no one's interpreting.
Still a taunt!
The moment you stop fighting, you know what I mean? Whatever you're doing is still being thought of as a taunt. It doesn't register as anything but in the fight because it's a moment of taking it less seriously, you know, in battle.
What's Core A Gaming? Core A Gaming put out an incredible series of videos on fighting games. You should all check out Core A Gaming. He's great. But there's one of them. Which one is it? Is it the effects of salt, where he describes he's looking over Evo footage and he describes getting somebody in a corner trap, and instead of going for like a better Oki situation, he just teabags him in the corner to cause mental damage.
Sure. Yeah,
and
okay.
and describes like this shouldn't matter, like logically it makes no sense, but it causes such an instant emotional reaction
Tilt.
in some people that it is way more valuable than anything you could actually do in game.
The creation of tilts, absolutely. It's interesting because, like, yeah, that idea is not one that I dislike, but I think it just fails in execution, because implementing a respect button that has to be still like, hey, we stop fighting for me to show you respect, is just like, no, that's not going to work. I think so. Have you ever seen that clip of two dudes fighting in an MMA match, and like one dude goes to kick one guy and he catches the leg, and then the guy who's kicking, whose leg is caught, then like jumps and does like a big spinning like roundhouse with his second leg, and the guy who's holding the leg leans backwards and dodges it in a really cool way, and they both go, oh, yo, that was sick. And then one of them leans out and they just touch gloves, you know?
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's super sick. It's an awesome little exchange of like, that was badass, I respect that shit. They touch gloves and then get back to the match. If you want to,
you can't touch gloves in a fighting game.
No, right? So like, if you wanted to implement that in design, you would have to do something like make it happen with the game's, with the portrait in the top left corner, you know, or something like that, or just like, or something outside of the two characters fighting would have to say like, yo, nice, or something like that.
It would have to be the respect taunt can be respect taunted back, and it does something. Like the fist bump in Third Strike between Ken and Ryu during the intro.
Yeah,
it would have to be you hold the fist out, and other
then
person can hit the button.
if they acknowledge it, then there's some sort of perhaps that's a more immersive way of doing it. Yeah,
I just saw what might be the most insane person take on this topic I think I could imagine, which is somebody in the chat just said that they think that the best respect taunt or button they have seen is the Mortal Kombat Mercy. And all I can say is, are you crazy? The Mercy is the most disrespectful shit.
It's the complete opposite of what you think it is, sir.
It is like pissing on a photo of your mom.
I beat you. You're not good enough to beat me. I'm letting you try again. Yeah. No. It's the most toxic thing you can do.
It's like turning around at the cabinet and going, yeah, you can get some hits in. Come on. No, I won't even touch the controls.
I mean, there was a thing of like, don't lose always give up round 2 was a weird house rule at certain, or not a house rule, but like an arcade rule in certain places.
That was a really common rule. I remember a bunch of arcades.
And the basis of that was, and it seems weird looking back at it now, but the basis of that was you spent 50 cents, you at least are going to get a round to enjoy your game time. If you lose 2 rounds straight in 15 seconds, it sucks like financially.
It makes your 50 cents functionally 62.5 cents.
Yeah, sure.
On a math level, like it's if you were in 2 rounds versus 3 rounds.
See, now if you were to I like the idea of reaching out the bump and seeing if you get it back, but the problem is then you get a metagame based on reaching the bump out and then playing chicken with them as they come back to bump, and you let it go and you go, ooh, too smooth, you know, like,
yeah, that's great. Welcome to Dark Souls.
Sure. If
Did you bow before your duel? You're stupid. The only good bow in Dark Souls is when you bow to them and they're far enough away you know they can't do anything, and then you just start sprinting the instant you can to hopefully catch them in theirs. Like,
it's again, if you give a reward that is like combat changing, there's an incentive, but then there's also a disincentive if you're in the lead and you don't want to give any particular advantage. You know, you'd have to think about it. It's a cool idea, certainly, but there's better ways than just going for a taunt that's not a taunt, you know? That's the thing. I was saying that, like, my initial thought was, like, if it's off of the two characters fighting, then it ends up just being like almost like a part of the HUD in a way. And it's like, okay, you take it or leave it. Someone just said, yo, nice job, you know, respect for that or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but you don't have to stop fighting to do that.
But
yeah.
Dead by Daylight will continue to be toxic forever. Oh man, it's crazy because the game has like a reputation for being toxic as shit, and I was playing it, and they have like a battle pass thing, and when you finish a match, it says, "Hey, you earned blah blah blah." The experience little drop down box comes down, and what cracked me up is that I realized that the drop down box covers the post game chat for about 10 seconds, which is more than enough time to click out and leave the lobby entirely and never see it. And I think that is legitimately their method of fighting toxicity, is by hiding the post game chat from you.
That's a design decision.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh man. So that's DBD.
If you're in that little post raid meetup room in 14 and you leave right away, is that BM?
Hold on, in 14?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You know when you finish a raid and then you can stand together for like a picture?
No. It usually because all raids in 14 have tokens. And you can like, let's run this 10 times and you can get a weapon. It's BM to stay in there. Because get the fuck out. We're running it again.
Wasting time.
Now.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, I don't mean like staying in there for like 30 seconds. Like, it's not like, hey, rush your fucking ass out of there. It's like, dude, it's been like 5 minutes. Get the fuck out of the instance so we can queue again.
Yeah, okay.
As for if you just queued into something, nobody gives a goddamn shit.
So there's a form of like menu BM when you can see someone highlighting rematch and then just scrolling down to fucking exit and bopping the fuck out. And you go, you see it. You fucking see them highlight the button and then bounce the fuck out, and it's so shit. And you're like, with a menu, you have upset me. Yeah, it's real. It's a thing.
So I'll tell you what, Street Fighter players have worse manners than Guilty Gear players. I have had
bigger audience.
I have had almost every rematch on possible playing Guilty Gear. Right, like just every single time I link up with somebody, win or draw, just devastating or not, rematch. I think I've only had 3 people in like 1,000 matches not. Whereas in Street Fighter 5, oh man, if people don't win, they are almost never gonna rematch.
Yep,
and it's like.
It's the larger the audience, the more people playing, the more people that like jump in and just like get very like anyway, like anyone, like there's a lot of cases where someone who loses like 5 matches in a row and then like they get one in there and they're like, I'll take it, you know, and that's it.
I have a really
as opposed to
bad
finding
tendency.
out whether or not the person can adjust or not, because it's like, I'm better than that guy, end of story, leaving on a high note. George Costanza.
Yeah, I have a bad tendency to want to end my night on a win. Which, when I've been playing too long and I'm tired, can become very self-defeating. Because I'm like, just give me a fucking win. Just come on, give me, come on. Oh, I lost again. All right, just one. Come on.
You know,
it's like,
let's be real. It's never going to happen, but I'll throw out another design idea that I wanted to implement into some sort of fighting game of some kind. Is the idea of after the match after the match ends, your rematch screen is someone sticking their hand out and then the accepting of the rematch is the other person grabbing that hand and picking you back up, and then immediately camera zooms back out to the round one, and then you can just keep that rhythm goes instantaneously. Don't waste time. It's just hand out, pick them back up, let's go again. And when you decide to conclude it, when you're like, all right, we're done, thumbs up instead, and then we leave the screen, you know? But like you just stay in there with that constant ability to like pick you back up, let's keep fighting, you know? That was something I wanted to do that'll never fucking happen because blah. But anyway, yeah, don't get stuck in the mental trap that is like ending on a W, and then you fall into the tilt vortex, and then
never heard that.
Yeah, and then you spiral. That happens to me in Tekken too. Actually, there's a couple times where I'll be like, all right, let me get one in there, and I'll jump in, and I'll win one, and I'll be like, all right, I'm done, I'm good, you know. And there's no rematch button in that game, admittedly, but like. You'll get that you lose, and you're like, okay, fuck it, and then like 5 later, you're like, throw the goddamn phone away. We can't keep at this.
Hey, Willie, I just want to say, on an aside, every time I see you tweet about Tekken, I get a very strong feeling, which is, dude, are you super good at Tekken?
I think I'm pretty all right. I think I'm pretty all right. If I can crack close to top 100, I think I'm doing pretty okay of the people out there. Of course, like a lot of that is, you know, based on sort of like understanding the decks that people are throwing at you. And like, so like when the whole Phoenix Wright stuff came out, a whole bunch of new cards came out. And if you like, you can just kind of keep playing and ignoring those things. But if you go look at the new cards and seeing what they do, you can kind of be like, oh shit, people are probably not using this one yet or whatever, and implement shit that might be, you know, still a little too new. So you can ride out on you can get a little bit of a boost based on like unfamiliarity at certain points. But yeah, I think I'm pretty fucking good at Tekken. That streak was my fucking, I was pretty proud of that. 10 wins in a row. I think rank 111. So
that's pretty good.
Speaking
of,
you
gonna switch from fighting games to your true passion, card games.
The most passion ever. Yeah. I don't know. I could say like, oh, when those card games add Virgil or whatever stupid thing, but realistically
they did.
But realistically. When I played
they literally did. Isn't Virgil a card?
Yeah, he's a card. Yeah, I mean no, I thought I mean in reference to other not Tekken games.
Oh, okay. Well, they all did. There's always a Virgil in there. Trust me.
No, the number one most common response to me talking about Tekken anywhere is people going, "Oh wow, Wooly, you should try games that are not that." Yeah. Play this other thing that's like a thing, and I'm like, yeah, I guess maybe.
I mean, it's very similar to fighting games. If I announced that I was gonna spend a lot of time playing, SF5 or Guilty Gear, and I didn't normally play fighting games, a lot of people would be like,
check out the other
Tekken.
Yeah, Runeterra. I know, but I'm just kind of where I am. I did play what's it called? I was gonna say Gent, but Gwent.
Gwent, yeah.
I was playing the Gwent game for a bit there, and it was not bad, but it didn't hook me, I'd say.
I don't care for Gwent, which is ironic because I was